Many people in our world today don't believe that Jesus is God. They rejected the idea of Christ's divine nature, and they support their idea from some passages in the Bible. They raised questions: if Jesus was God, why did he say the Father is greater than I in John 15 verse 1? In this question, I explain to you why did he say the Father is greater than I. The phrase, the Father is greater than I, John 14 verse 28, was spoken by Jesus during the Upper Room Discourse, and the greater context is the promising of the Holy Spirit to the disciples after Jesus' resurrection. Jesus says repeatedly that he is doing the Father's will, thereby implying that he is somehow subservient to the Father. The question then becomes, how can Jesus be equal to God when by his own admission he is subservient to the will of God? The answer to this question lies within the nature of the Incarnation. In Philippians 2 verses 6-8, who, though he was in the form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but made himself nothing, taking the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of men. And being found in human form, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. During the Incarnation, Jesus was temporarily made lower than the angels, Hebrews 2 verse 9, which refers to Jesus' status. The doctrine of the Incarnation says that the second person of the Trinity took on human flesh. Therefore, for all intents and purposes, Jesus was fully human and made lower than the angels. However, Jesus is fully divine, too. By taking on human nature, Jesus did not relinquish his divine nature. God cannot stop being God. How do we reconcile the fact that the second person of the Trinity is fully divine yet fully human and by definition lower than the angels? The answer to that question can be found in Philippians 2 verses 5-11. When the second person of the Trinity took on human form, something amazing occurred. Christ made himself nothing. This phrase has generated more ink than almost any other phrase in the Bible. In essence, what it means is that Jesus voluntarily relinquished the prerogative of freely exercising his divine attributes and subjected himself to the will of the Father while on earth. Another thing to consider is the fact that slavishness in role does not equate to subservience in essence. For example, consider an employer/employee relationship. The employer has the right to make demands of the employee, and the employee has the obligation to serve the employer. The roles clearly define a subservient relationship. However, both people are still human beings and share in the same human nature. There is no difference between the two as to their essence, they stand as equals. The fact that one is an employer and the other is an employee does nothing to alter the essential equality of these two individuals as human beings. The same can be said of the members of the Trinity. All three members, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, are essentially equal. They are all divine in nature. However, in the grand plan of redemption, they play certain roles, and these roles define authority and subservience. They have distinction when it comes in roles. When Jesus says, "The Father greater than I," this statement has been thought to mean that Jesus is something less than God the Father. However, this is not what Jesus said. He was not comparing his nature with that of God the Father. Rather, he was comparing their positions. He was lesser in position when he came to earth. When Jesus came to earth, he came in the form of a servant. This is also known as his humiliation. Therefore, the fact that the Son took on a human nature and made himself subservient to the Father in no way denies the deity of the Son, nor does it diminish his essential equality with the Father. The greatness spoken of in this verse, then, relates to role, not to essence.